Hello, everyone, and welcome to this edition of Small Business Breakthroughs presented by the Ohio Small Business Development Center at Columbus State Community College. This is a special edition because it is the SBA's National Small Business Week, and make sure I get the name right. So, like I said, it's a great opportunity to kind of showcase small businesses, showcase kind of the things that we do to assist and help, and kind of go from there. So what we thought would be a great idea today is to bring all of the SBDC team together. We can answer some questions, and I have some questions I want to pose to people. So we'll kind of go from there. So I think it'll be should be an exciting session today, and hopefully we're able to provide you some assistance. We are recording this obviously during National Small Business Week, but you can find this probably in the next week or so on our YouTube channel. If you go to YouTube and search Ohio SBDC, make sure that you click on the Ohio SBDC at Columbus State Community College, and you'll be able to see all the small business breakthroughs along with our digital edition, which Pamela does in Spanish, as well as all the rest of the great content that we have available there. So we will be taking questions today. And what we're going to ask you to do is go ahead and put those in the chat. That'll help us be able to see it. I'll keep an eye on the chat, and then we'll make sure that we try to get your questions asked. And if you could display your first and last name, that would be delightful. So let's get started. Just very quickly, we're going to go around from the team. Just kind of give us your name and, kind of what you think your specialty is here. Keep it short because we don't take all the time for this, but and then probably maybe what your favorite sandwich is or something like that. So we will go ahead and start with Pamela.
Hi everyone. Thank you for being here. My name is Pamela Alvaro, and I serve the SBDC as a certified business advisor. Really quick, I hold a bachelor degree in public relations, and most of my experience centers around customer relations, sales, marketing, and public relations. And as you can tell, I am bilingual in Spanish. So I serve also the Spanish community.
Fantastic. Tanya?
Hi, I'm Tanya Wilson, and I am I've been with the SBDC since 2007, so about 19 years now. And I am, of course, a certified business advisor, and my primary background is in marketing. That's where my passion is, what I love to do. And my favorite sandwich is a Cuban.
Hello, everyone. This is Kevin Hammond, small business advisor here at the Ohio Small Business Development Center since about the mid 80s, or more like 2000 or so. Been doing this a long time, helping out small businesses with their challenges. I teach the business validation course to help folks who are in their early stages of their business, to help figure out if they're on the right path, and if not, make those adjustments. I also help clients with their funding, financial analysis, buy, sell types of things, partnership challenges they may have, and just general business planning, mentoring, and helping businesses to solve challenges and take advantage of opportunities.
Great. Barb, do you want to try again?
Yeah, we'll try again. All right. Hi, my name is Barb Park-Navy. I'm the program coordinator with the SBDC at Columbus State. I was probably the oldest student intern in history. I started as a student with SBDC, and later went on to get my degree in business administration and entrepreneurship, and have played a number of different roles, from student intern to contractor to finally being on board with the team. And I work on special projects such as the COVID relief grants and the technical assistance program that we've been doing for follow-up on that.
Great. Thank you. Ellen?
Good morning, everyone. Ellen Harvey here for the Small Business Development Center, Certified Business Advisor. My expertise is access to capital and everything that goes along with that. So helping to review financials, helping to prepare your business plan for your application to putting your loan package together. And then I'm also over Kiva Columbus, which is a program that we support, which is a crowdfunding platform that we offer to our small business clients as well. Thank you for joining us today.
Great. Thank you. Miguel?
Hi everyone, my name is Miguel Malone Lascano. I'm management information student at Columbus State Community College. Right now I'm working with SBDC as an AI intern. I'm helping small business to understand how to use AI tools to improve their operations.
Fantastic. Roberta?
My name is Roberta Winch. I am the SBDC Export Director for the Columbus region. My colleagues across the state and I are charged with identifying small and medium-sized businesses who are interested in expanding their sales outside of the United States. My role and that of my colleagues is to assist companies navigate all the considerations involved in international sales. I offer export advising and I market export programs that are managed by the Ohio Department of Development. These programs offer support such as on-the-ground business consulting firms established internationally who can assist a company in identifying a distributor, for example. There are grant programs that may support participation in a trade show or trade mission and other international marketing endeavors. And lastly, an award-winning export internship program.
Fantastic. And I believe, I don't think I left anybody out. Last but not least, we've been trying to get Teresa on this podcast for a couple of years now. So this is all designed to sneak her into the podcast. So Teresa, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, you got that right. Snuck me in there. Hi, my name is Teresa Green. I am the program specialist. I'm your first point of contact via phone or email. I've been with small business, I believe, 5 years now. I also have my own business, so therefore, I think I know what I'm doing. But we got you covered, however, whatever you need, we got you. Thank you for joining us.
Great. Thank you. So anybody here that has questions, go ahead and put those in the chat. We'll keep an eye on that. And what I want to do is I've got a couple things that I'm interested in that I want to kind of start with. So I guess we'll start really kind of with maybe Tanya and Kevin again, kind of briefer answers, but at that early stage. So Tanya, you and I are involved in the BASE program, which is our initial startup workshop. And then Kevin does the BizStar 2.0, which is our validation workshop, which is phase 2. So Tanya, we'll start with you. I mean, what do you see and what do you see that a lot of people are dealing with, especially as we do BASE? A lot of questions. We had a great group last night that really engaged. So what are you seeing there and maybe even the folks you're talking to as an advisor?
Coming from the base class, a lot of course, is the formation of the business. That's where a lot of our questions come in terms of the different entity types and where they should start out at. So that's a big question that seems to weigh pretty heavily on people when they're first getting started. And then beyond that is funding, of course. Funding is also for the startups are a big thing. Like where can they get the funding for if they have to actually qualify for that or have to personally guarantee it. I think sometimes there's information there, as well as marketing, of course. Marketing is a big one.
Great. Kevin, what do you see when you're dealing with your folks and what are you in 107th? That's coming up.
We're in team 106, just started yesterday with almost 30 people in there. So a lot of interest in starting a business and taking it to the next level. When folks get to that step with me, they've, gone through base and decided that, they want to move forward. Sometimes they don't want to after that, realizing that maybe this is too much for them right now. But once they get to my BizStart class, which is essentially taking your business idea for in most students in that stage, clients in that stage are early. They have the idea, the dream, the desire, but that might be about it in most cases. So this class that I teach, that we don't charge anything for folks to take, that allows them, and not only allows them but forces them to look at all aspects of the idea and determine if it's going to work. Essentially, what's minimum viable, proof of concept, validating the path that they're on. And if they're not on the right path, they have opportunities to make pivots, to make adjustments, which always happens throughout the BizStart class, and essentially happens throughout the life of your business. Because if you're not making adjustments as you get more information and so forth, then you're not going to stay relevant for the long term. But for the short term, for BizStart taking that, and it's important, I think, to take something like that, even if it's not with us, some type of a validation class, to make sure, okay, you're going to start a business. There's certainly risk in that, but if you can mitigate that risk by going through a validation class, again, forcing you to look at areas of the business that you may not otherwise be looking at. And that's why I think it's a great, startup process that we have for folks.
Yeah, I mean, the thing I really like about what we do with this is that it's really designed to get people thinking about putting their business together, how they need to do different things, and planning and prepping before they've spent a bunch of money. And, we've seen a lot of people over the years that have come in and they did their validation with money. So they went out and let me get in here and I'm going to rent this space and I'm going to do this and do that and do the other. And they find out that, hey, I do need to pivot now. Or this isn't exactly the way I need to be going, but they've already spent a ton of money. So what we try to do is get them to understand that they need to think about their business, think about their customer base, think about how they're going to put this all together. Then we're at a position where we can move forward. So that's what I really like about what we pull together here. So Barb, one of the things that we always talk about too is that people really need to track their expenses. They need to track what they're doing financially, and they need to start, pretty early doing that. Definitely when they're ready to launch and they're ready to start. I know you've done a lot of work looking at different software packages and different things like that. I think everybody thinks of QuickBooks initially, and that's a tribute to marketing, to be honest with you. So what are your thoughts on some of the things that people should be looking at as it relates to tracking their expenses?
Well, you definitely have to keep track of all of your expenditures and all of your revenues. And part of what I do is I work with Ellen a lot about putting together kind of spin-off ideas where Base and BizStart is a whole program that goes into different elements. There are some areas where people need to drill down a little bit more, like insurance or workers' comp or taxes. So we have 1 hour or 2 hour workshops on that. But the other thing that we've been doing is doing the background research. There are dozens now. It used to be QuickBooks was the only game in town as far as software and accounting programs. There are dozens. So we did a video on our YouTube channel of the different types of accounting programs. And you need to decide whether you're doing single or double entry accounting, which is largely dependent on the kind of reports you need to pull, which is largely dependent on whether you're going to need loans or not. So different loans and financing options require different reports, and that's going to dictate what kind of accounting that you need to do. So we've done a YouTube video on that. It's really worthwhile. I'll post the link to that in the chat.
Yeah, fantastic. So yeah, there are a lot of options, and I mentioned in our base class, and I mentioned other places that everybody talks about kind of jokingly about the getting everything in a shoebox and stuff like that. That is a thing, and there are people that are actually tracking in the shoebox. So maybe if you got multiple shoeboxes and you got it organized, I guess that could work. But there are a lot of good software packages, and Barb has put a great link to a YouTube piece in there. Ellen, we have a question here from Sherry, and she has an opportunity to branch out on her own from her current employer and work as a consultant. I mean, what are your thoughts? She's asking about the pros and cons of transitioning to this, to a small business owner. And what kind of things does she need to take into consideration from taxes, healthcare, insurance, et cetera?
Well, as you branch out into entrepreneurship, you do lose that stability of having a regular W-2 income. And so that's first and foremost. You have to think about that transition from being a W-2 employee to getting paid every week or biweekly or however you're paid, to going into your dream, your opportunity to own your own business, to how that income is going to fluctuate and how it takes time to build up your client base to even get to a point where you may be making the same amount of money that you are making currently in your job. With your employer, they are already providing the protections to you as an employee for liability coverage, which you will now need in your business, which is provided through your current employer. Healthcare is something that has to be considered. Again, another expense that you may not think about or is offset by your current employer, that you will be taking on that full cost as well. And then taxes. So you are taxed differently going into owning your own business. And so there is a 15% self-employment tax that now becomes a part of what you will have to pay in owning your own business. Now, also the preparation of your friends and family, in that you are going to have to invest a good bit of time into the operations of your business, getting it started, growing it, and investing the time that's needed to grow that business and bring in the kind of revenue that you need to be successful, to just cover those costs that we mentioned: health insurance, liability insurance, as well as the potential taxes that you would have to pay on that business. So the transition is one that needs to be considered in great length. And there is some preparation that needs to happen as far as in doing the transition, paying down your debt to make sure that you have the least amount of money going out for expenses, saving up some money so that you have some reserve to fall back on. And then if you're needing to acquire some kind of loan to actually start your business, also preparing and making sure you're understanding what your credit looks like, so you're positioned to go for funding as well.
It sounds great. Kevin, can you see the chat here? You want to kind of look at Roland's question here and maybe have some comments?
Yeah, let me see here. So yeah, I looked at that question there. Question is related to if you set up different legal entities. One of the legal entities you have the option of doing is a C corp, and we always hear about doing a C corp. You have double taxation and so forth, which it is true on many levels. But there are ways to either mitigate or maybe not 100% avoid double taxation on that. But it takes creative accounting, and I don't mean creative in a you're doing anything against what you should be doing IRS wise, but creative accounting with your accountant to where you're pushing up your level of salary within there to avoid the double taxation that a C corp could have. Typically, though, I mean, and the other I'll expand upon entities here in a second. But question also asked about ROBs. which is a method of rolling over or using retirement funds in a way that allows you to avoid some taxation to use those to start up a business, which we help clients with that if they have that situation. And there are ways to do that, of course, and that's something we help them with. Now, I guess the question could be, though, does it make sense to start out as a C Corp? In most cases, it just depends. In most cases, not. Not that that couldn't work down the road, but typically starting out, if you're starting from scratch, C Corp's it's just going to be a lot more work. Kind of like what Barb talked about there. You got a lot more management of the financials on the back end, a lot more checks and balances, aka a lot more cost. So we typically, advise clients, something either LLC as a legal entity, and again, we're not attorneys or anything, but we know the structures and the taxation and so forth. But setting up an LLC and then to better avoid or minimize, not avoid, but minimize taxation, we advise LLC as a structure, and then making the election of doing an S corp for taxation purposes. And again, for something like that, typically our advice is, again, there's always mitigating circumstances depending on what you're doing. You might have real estate involved, where you have to set up different types of entity. Maybe maybe a C corp for the real estate, maybe just a separate LLC for the real estate. But the S corp could make sense not necessarily as a legal structure or an entity. LLC is one of the greatest legal entities, but the S corp is helpful, but really doesn't really help you until you get into. You need to have. I always tell clients, I mean, you should be around at least 100,000 in sales. And have pretty good amount of profit there. But so if you have 100,000 in sales, but really don't, you have so many expenses, the S corp still might not make sense for you at that point. But yeah. So there are times when all those entities could make sense, but it's really case by case.
Roland, we've got, I think I've mentioned our small business tax workshop that's led by David Krebs, who's a CPA. That is happening, I believe, on the 21st. And we've got a program which I believe has been posted. Ellen, we're going to be doing a program around Schedule Cs and different things like that. Do you want to talk briefly about that one? That's on the 28th.
Yes, of course. So we have found that a lot of small businesses, particularly solo entrepreneurs, find doing the taxes for the first couple of years to be quite a challenge. So in addition to making sure that they're taking into account what they have coming into the business as far as their income, also accounting for their expenses. But then when it comes to filing their taxes, how does that all come together? So as a small business owner, your best benefit of preparing your taxes is to think about what your position is next. Are you just simply needing to file those taxes and you're looking to reduce the amount of tax liability you have in your initial year because you're trying to recoup some of the money you've invested? Well, the class that we're having on the 28th, we'll talk about that. Are you positioning yourself for going after funding, in which case you may need to show more profitability on your Schedule C, which is a tax document that's used for your small business when you're filing your taxes and you're still under a sole entrepreneur status, limited liability status. You haven't moved into any kind of corporation status. And we're going to talk about what that Schedule C is and what information is a part of that Schedule C and why you may need to show more profitability as you're looking at funding your business. Also, that class is going to talk about the ability to file an extension. So if you've not filed your taxes and you've not filed an extension, the class is going to go over why that is important, how you can be impacted as far as penalties, and talk to you about getting that extension filed, which gives you more time to file your actual taxes through October. So the class is designed to discuss what is the Schedule C structure in filing your taxes, how to file an extension, how to account for your expenses, and what expenses can be written off through your Schedule C, your tax document filing with the IRS, and get you started on preparing yourself if you've not already filed, and you'd be amazed how many people have not. To go ahead and get your taxes filed for now. And if you've not filed them in the past, to get those previous taxes filed as well. So that'll be on the 28th.
Yeah, sounds great. That's also an in-person session too. So it's being held at our office here at Columbus State, and be a great chance to connect with the advisors in person, as well as connect with the actual presenters. So that should be really good. However, I guarantee it's going to be a hot ticket, and we only have limited amount of space. So anybody that's interested, I would jump on that.
I would just want to underline something that Ellen had mentioned previously for the person that was transitioning from a W-2 to or considering the transition. When she talks about the reserve, I think a lot of people don't realize that it's a tough transition, not just a steady paycheck, but the timing of the paycheck too. And so what she said about having a reserve is so important, because when you're used to having that check like direct deposit every 2 weeks or twice a month or whatever, and you switch to having to invoice customers and then sometimes go chase those invoices down, that's a big transition where that's what that reserve buildup is for, so that you aren't caught with zero cash flow. Even though you sold it, they're happy with your work. They may have their own accounting practices where they delay it to 45 days just as a matter of course in their own business practices. So what Ellen said was really, really important about having that reserve.
Good. So I want to take a little bit of a shift here. I want to talk to Roberta. So Roberta Winch is our director of our Export Assistance Network program. You want to talk a little bit about that, but also kind of things that people should be thinking about when we talk about exporting. I don't know if everybody knows what that means in the context of the work that you do, and how people should think about that, especially as they start to ramp their business up.
Yep. So to provide a little bit more context, Ohio exported $84 billion in goods and services in 2024, supporting 210,000 direct jobs, primarily in manufacturing. And international trade supports approximately 350,000 direct jobs and 1.4 million indirect jobs, and accounts for 25% of Ohio's GDP and employs 6.2% of the workforce. Thus, it is crucial for the health of the Ohio economy that our companies are encouraged to expand into international markets. We know, however, that this can be intimidating, and this is why my role and the roles of my colleagues around the state, this is the purpose of our roles. So we are simply trying to encourage our companies to reach 95% of the consumers in the world are outside of the United States. And so even, selling to Canada is often a very logical first step for obvious reasons, their proximity. We have a USMCA trade agreement that is that manages the tariffs, typically to zero, between Canada and Mexico and the US. So I am always looking for companies, usually at the stage where they are confident in their business in the US. They understand their product or their service. They understand their customers. They understand distribution and marketing of their products. So they are typically in a healthy business stage domestically. And then from there, we can work together. And again, my services are at no additional cost to our taxpayers. I can work with a company and we can carve out, a prioritization of an international market. So, there's a strategy, and developing an export strategy is something that I can assist with. Rather than, I often hear, a family member who lives overseas says that my product will be really great and I should sell to that market. That's not necessarily taking into consideration, what is that tariff going to look like for the importer that's going to impact the landed cost of that product, or what are the labeling and what are some of the changes you may need to make to your product, even from the electrical components that you would need to make those changes in order for that product to be accepted into the market from a safety proposal and just a usage proposal. Well, that costs money if you're going to start to have to redesign your products. So I am trying to get in front of my companies, ideally before they start expanding internationally, but even if they're selling to some markets, most of the clients, when I first meet them, they're reactive exporters. That just means they got an order from someone overseas and they, sent their product out. But there's a lot of considerations when you do that. It's just as part of export compliance. Every exporter is responsible for the compliance piece, which means you need to understand who you are actually selling your product to. You need to understand if your product will require an export license. That is a U.S. government compliance piece. And if you don't meet the compliance requirements, you could face heavy penalties and jail time. Now, none of my companies that I know have personally had that challenge, but it does happen, and it happens all the time. It's a real thing. So as I say, I'm trying to get in front of a company and help them to, number one, don't spend money where you don't need to spend it, and make sure that they understand the compliance considerations. With the International Market Support Program that Ohio offers, we have consultants all around the world, and they are available to our companies at no additional charge. So these are on-the-ground consulting firms that will help a company, again, identify a distributor is a popular one, or maybe they'll help us understand if they think the product will work, has an audience in that particular market. Or sometimes I've had them find manufacturing partners on the ground in these other countries. Or even right now I have a project in India where they're identifying potential customers. I mean, this is amazing, because I would say this is the most complicated piece for a company in the US. How do I figure out how to get my, product into this market? Well, you have really a whole team of people, professionals, who are at your service. So I really try to get my companies engaged in those services. And then we have some, currently today it's limited funds, but we have typically had funding that's coming both from the federal funding and matched by the state to help our companies market internationally. So attending a trade show, participating in a trade show, to have a trade show booth can be $6,000 to $10,000. It's a lot of money for a smaller company, and this grant can help to reimburse up to 50% of those costs. And then lastly, the Ohio Expert Internship Program. I'm involved with the Ohio State University Fisher College of Business. We train undergraduate business students on all of the technical aspects of exporting, and then we commit to placing them into an Ohio company where they work for the summer on an international project to help these small businesses expand their resources, their internal resources, and focus for a summer on moving their products forward into an international market. And myself and my colleagues support these students during the summer. So it's an award-winning program. It's really helps my companies move forward in their endeavors.
Great, thank you. They said if you have any interest in doing business on an international basis, and that, a lot of times I think people think of exporting as that we're going to send product to someplace and put it on a boat and do all that kind of cool stuff. If you're doing business in Canada, in essence, that's an international business, and there's stuff you
Yes.
need to be doing. So being able to connect with Roberta or the other individuals in your geographic area that are part of the Export Assistance Network, it's really important. And she kind of mentioned it a little bit, but I always say that Roberta's job is to keep people out of jail. So
That's right.
in addition to trying to grow their business. So again, thank you. And like I said, if anybody has any questions on that for Roberta, she's more than happy to connect with you too. So just reach out to our team. There's a couple of questions in here on workers' compensation. I think the key with workers' compensation, as Kevin's put in here, is that if it's just you don't technically have to have workers' compensation. If you do have a W-2 employee, you do have to have workers' compensation. Kevin referenced a on-demand workshop where we have a representative from the Bureau of Workers' Compensation that basically talks about how all that works. So I'd encourage you to check that out. And Barb, is that on a YouTube or is that on demand?
I think there's a YouTube video of it available. There it's definitely available through on demand, but it may also be available on just a YouTube video.
Okay.
And the good thing about that is our local advocate, Melanie Brandt, has all her contact information in that video. So, and she's a minority and small business advocate. So if you have additional questions after watching that, you can go straight to her with any assistance on it.
Yeah, and the beauty of that is that's her job. She's here to help small business owners. So there's no gotcha going on here or anything like that. Workers' compensation's like, hey, you're not doing what you're supposed to do. Her job is to kind of give you an understanding of what's involved. So I think it's a great piece, and I would encourage you to go check that out because I think that can be really valuable to you. One of the things that I want to spend just a second on here, Miguel, as he mentioned, is on board with us as a intern focusing on artificial intelligence use for our small business clients. And he's a Columbus State student in the computer area. And he's done a lot of really great work kind of looking through some stuff. And he was involved in a digital edition program in Spanish last month. That's up on our YouTube channel. He was also involved in a small business breakthroughs, the last one we did around artificial intelligence. So that's a great one if you're interested in AI. Miguel, what are some of the things that you've kind of been seeing as it relates to small business and AI implementation?
Well, something that I see on a small business that they like to learn more is about content creation and marketing. So we can help them just to learn how to use these like different tools that we have, depending on the goals that they want. Um, Obviously, you can use AI for multiple purposes, like for financial management, operations, depending on what is your goal. Most of them are just want to learn more about content creation, marketing, how can just use different tools. And we have some tools, interesting tools that we can use. Some that are free, some other have some like some had to pay, but it's not that much. But yes, basically, it's what I've experienced with the clients right now.
Yeah, I think that AI is really becoming a great tool for small business owners. Um, if you go to the last small business breakthrough that we did, which is not up on our YouTube channel yet, probably going to be up by Monday. Um, we had a really great conversation about how to leverage that so that you can have the AI do a lot of the busy work and you could go build your business. So that's good. Miguel mentioned some work as it related to marketing and different things like that. Um, Pamela, you've kind of been connecting with some of your clients with Miguel on the AI piece and the marketing, setting up marketing stuff. You have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, absolutely. One thing that I should say is, AI tools are available for all of us, and most of us are familiar with this. It's really important understand how to use it, but mostly I will say having a strategy is the key because you can use these tools for a specific activity, and that is going to help. But if you don't have a specific goal to achieve, probably you're not going to have the results that you are looking for. So having a plan and a specific plan on how you want to get these tools to help you with your business, that will be the key. That will be my advice on this because we have already using these tools, but having a specific plan or a strategy on how to implement these tools is how you are gonna get how you're gonna accomplish your goals.
Absolutely. Barb, we've got a question in here. The individual said she struggles with needing subscriptions and software, didn't have the revenue to support that yet, but if she gets the subscriptions and software, she'd have the revenue.
Well, if you're talking about accounting software, there are actually some programs that can grow with you that start off free. So, and usually those are limited either by a number of invoices or a dollar amount of revenue. So, because, and as you get higher level, then they start to get the extra capacity, then there's a subscription. So that's, if you're talking specifically about the accounting software, that's a great way to do it. And I've listed those um, in the video that we did. And also, if you read it in the description on that video, I put my email in there because we created a workbook for it that has a spreadsheet of all those different companies that have a free version available and the costs and everything. And it's also a workbook to help you start keeping of what to keep track of while you're picking out an accounting program to use. So if you just shoot me an email and let me know that you're looking for a workbook to go with it, we'll shoot that right out to you. And there are at least 3 or 4 different free versions on a lower scale that can help you get started.
So,
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Ellen, or Teresa, you have any points? So
Yeah.
he's talking about like operational software and different things like that too.
On
Barb,
operational software, I'd have to get more specifics as to what you're looking for, and maybe you can message me, or and I can do some research for you. Project management software, I'd have to research that to find out and talk to you about what your specific needs are. Okay.
Tanya, do you have any thoughts here? So, what she's looking for is, she has software needs. She needs to purchase the software. Um, she's referencing project management, client portals, and things like that, all of which is really designed to kind of build and grow her business such that she can then generate the money on this. Any thoughts on some of this?
Yeah, I think Barb's right. It's definitely helpful to know more specific what the business is doing. But because of course there are obvious ones like Salesforce, which is a large company, large customer service database, but maybe not necessarily small businesses may not want to benefit for that as well. There is a local one that, well, not local, but one I've seen that I think is called 17 Hats. And so it's actually been designed, for sole proprietors, to help them manage their customer service database as well as invoicing a lot of other aspects. I think that one is pretty cool. And of course, they have those other ones like Monday. They're called Monday that are out there. And so, yes, of course, I can see, yeah, Salesforce is, a big one, but definitely take a look at Monday.com and take a look at 17 Hats. I think 17 Hats is kind of a cool one.
Yeah, Salesforce, though, sometimes, it's a great product,
Mm-hmm.
but, there's a lot of moving parts there, and that gets to
It is.
be, really challenging. So once you get it set up, then that's great, but getting there is certainly a challenge. Yeah, I would be looking at are there different packages, different software packages that you can start smaller with that doesn't cost as
Mhm.
much and kind of get you from A to B, and then maybe at B, okay, let's start taking a look at something else that will get you from A to to B to C to D, things like that. Because you're right. I mean, Salesforce can cost a lot of money, a lot of time to get it set up, and a lot of working on. So feel free to reach out to our team, and we can kind of go from there. Um, let's see.
Let me ask this
I
real
could add
quick.
to that.
Barb, who was the person that you gave for workers' compensation?
Melanie Brandt.
Melody?
Melanie.
Melanie. Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah, she does
Okay.
our business clinics. She's been coming here and speaking to our folks for years, and
Mhm.
and she'll do one-on-ones. So I mean, she's a great resource for what you're trying to do there.
If I could add something to the software and subscriptions.
Yeah.
Yeah. So as a new business owner or a individual who's looking to start their business, one of the things that I really want you to think about is the marketing strategy, right? And not only outlining that and determining how you're actually going to get your product and service in front of someone, the different channels you're going to use, but what is the cost to make that happen, right? And having certain subscriptions and software, it should be really a part of your marketing strategy because it's going to generate for you revenue. So what is the cost associated with that? So not only when are you looking at cost for maybe brick and model and renovations or for a website or for supplies, but you are looking at costs to implement your marketing strategy. And so unfortunately, these platforms and so forth can be quite expensive, but it has to be something that you build into your budget. And so every time that you invest money into your business, be it out of your pocket because you're bootstrapping or because you're actually going to acquire funding, is you want to look at what is the rate of return for every dollar invested. So if a software package costs you $1,500, but you know that through having that package, the return on that investment could be $20,000, then that's something you want to consider, that if you don't have those funds readily available, that you look at some financing options that allow you to access those types of platforms, as well as anything else that you need to actually get your product or service in front of somebody so you can create that sale so that you can move forward. And if you inject the funds into your business early on, as far as implementing those marketing strategies, then that's going to help better position you as you are working to grow your business than if you're trying to bootstrap it and taking your time to invest bit by bit, because that slows you down. And some businesses are about timing, seasonal timing, things that are going on in your industry, things that are going on as far as in the government. And so you want to implement your ideas as fast as possible during the periods of where you're going to see the most success. And sometimes that means you might have to go for funding to do so. So just keep that in mind.
So I've got a couple of questions. Number one, Barb, can you pull Dr. Johnson's email out of there
I did.
out of the
Mhm.
chat so we can do some follow up there. Um, and when I want to get back to your AI question, I'm not sure I got a great answer for you, but I want to get back to that in a second. But I do want to talk very quickly about funding. Um, Funding, as Tanya said at the beginning, is a huge component of what people are thinking about and why they're trying to do different things. Unfortunately, I've seen people come in, they may have a good idea, they may have some expertise, but if I can't get a loan, I can't do it. Well, one, that may or may not be true. Two, maybe that means you got to, take a step back and get yourself prepared a little bit better because, you know, if it's all about getting the funding, then you may be missing some pieces and parts on that too. So, um, definitely do that. But I'm interested in Kevin and Ellen, and we only have a few minutes left, but I want you guys to kind of touch when we talk about funding, for kind of startup and early stage, and then how does that change if you're an existing business and you're looking to do something, bigger component. Either one can jump in.
I guess I'll jump in here. If you're getting funding in the startup stage, you haven't launched yet, and so forth, it's generally more difficult, certainly not impossible, and that's something that we assist you with, versus trying to get funding when you've already have traction. You already have business, you already have financials and so forth. Because when you're going for funding as a startup, again, without any history in the financials, then a bank is going to be looking largely at you personally, and how you are set financially personally, as far as debt to income, credit score, those kind of things there. And it also depends on how much money you actually need to get started. And sometimes it ends up being lesser than what you think, especially if you work with us and we figure out, all right, can you start smaller? And we always advise clients to do that if in order for them to get started, at least in their mind, they need this large amount of money, then that may be inhibitive for them to ever get started. So, working with clients, we advise them, how can you get started small? Maybe you want to have, a restaurant, right? But okay, let's start someplace. Let's start, just doing, maybe some catering using a commercial kitchen. Maybe you start mobile, that kind of thing there. Now, for, an existing business, let's say you have 12 months of financials. That makes it a lot easier, not easy, but easier for a bank. And, we would help you with this too, because we got to look at projections. We have to look at the financial modeling. And then if you get, you get a loan, how does that affect the projections based upon what you've already done historically? So, there's different aspects there that you need to think about. And again, it's always good to seek counsel, whether it's from us or anyone else, on all the options that are out there, because there are a lot of options.
Absolutely. Ellen, you want to touch base?
Yeah, there are so many funding options that are available, that you may not be aware of as a small business owner, that we have access to. So not only can you go to your local banks, and their traditional SBA loan products, sometimes they have specialty programs that are specifically designed to assist those that are startups, that are economically disadvantaged, that are minorities, that are women, veterans, and so forth. There are credit unions that offer loan programs for their members where they are more lenient than your traditional banks. Again, specialty programs that they offer as well that sometimes are seasonal. Then we also have what are called CDFIs, Community Development Financial Institutions. And those organizations are set up to help small business owners that are in early startup stages, that are in expansion phases, And they offer products that are specifically to help in these different scenarios where they're not a bank or a credit union, where they're looking for deposits. They are in position to help with funding, and sometimes they even offer loan specials as well. ECDI, Economic Community Development Institute, often offers a $5,000 2% interest rate loan that's just strictly based off of credit score. I know there was a question in the chat about the different organizations and so forth, and how do you know where to begin, how to start, and part of that is doing the research about those organizations to find out what it is that they offer, getting on their newsletters like Tanya had mentioned to see what they have going on. But everybody works in their own field of interest. And so they can help you as well as far as looking for different opportunities. So, we work with startups, but then we work with every uh, uh, area of your business as far as where you are in growth. Where if you go to the MBAC, they're looking at businesses that are more established and they have access to funding that's with the state of Ohio. Where you work with ECDI, they're the Women's Business Center. They have access to funding of where it's coming from various resources, including the SBA. So don't be discouraged in thinking that there is not an opportunity for you to receive some kind of funding to help your business, because there's various funding opportunities that are out there. It's just the knowledge that you need, and we're here to help you with that. I'll close my response with is that we also, as the SBDC, have positioned ourselves to offer even yet another alternative funding opportunity for you, which is Kiva Columbus. Kiva Columbus is a platform that eliminates barriers to traditional access, be it credit score, credit challenges, down payment money that may be required, various other things, where it allows you to tap into your social media, to your social capital, and encourage those individuals who follow you, who want to support you, to be able to provide you with assistance for funding. So there's various things that are out there. There's ways to start with one funding source, build up your credit, go to the next level for additional funding, and we can help you with those paths. I put in the chat some different links for you.
Great, great, thank you. Yeah, we've tried to position ourselves too as kind of a front door. So if you got a question, you can come to us. We have a lot of partnerships. We have a lot of connections throughout the ecosystem here in Columbus. So we generally get you where you need to be. And you're right. I mean, the navigating the alphabet soup is not the easiest thing in the world. A couple quick questions. We're going to wrap up here in a second. Darby was asking about requirements to manage out-of-state work. Two of their employees based in Ohio may need to be going to Arizona and California. He's looking for a specific link. I would do two things. Number one, I would look at the Ohio Secretary of State's website if you're an Ohio based legal structure business. So whether if you're a LLC or whatever, in Ohio, I would go to the Secretary of State's website and maybe even give them a call and ask them. And then I would also look at the states where you're going to, because say you're an LLC, different things like that, those are state designations. So, what's going on in Arizona could be different than going on here. So if you're an Ohio-based company and you now are going to have people on the ground doing work in Arizona, now you maybe have agency there, which means you're going to have to register potentially as a some sort of
Alien
business
entity.
yeah, there we go. In that state so that you can pay the taxes and do everything that you need to do. So I would check out those things. First of all, Edwin, I don't know if I got an answer for you here. It's interesting. It really is. I mean, I think if I'm understanding, you're saying that there are in recruitment, there's different software and there's different things that are in there that are flagging different resumes and different things like that. How can you either use AI to do this or use this to avoid it? I don't really have an answer for you on that, but AI is constantly evolving. if you, I would encourage you, again, once our AI small business breakthrough gets up, you might even be able to reach out to the individual we had on there as a guest, Sasha, to have that conversation. And like I said, that'll be up in the next week or so. So hopefully we got everybody's questions. We got a lot of questions. It was great. The Small Business Breakthrough will be on our YouTube channel. So if you go to the YouTube channel, you should be able to find that. It's on a playlist for Small Business Breakthroughs. Like I said, it ought to be up on Monday or so. Thank you for all of that. And we're going to end with Teresa, who, Teresa, we're going to have you speak, and this will be the last thing that anybody remembers. It'll be your words of wisdom. So Teresa is a small business owner. In addition to being here, she started her small business before she came here. She actually came here for some services before that. And what I'm interested from you is, okay, from when you started, or even after you had started and you kind of go on now, unfortunately, you were kind of navigating the pandemic on some of this too.
Right.
But knowing what you know now about the SBDC, what do you wish you'd have done differently maybe then?
Come to SBDC first. I was unaware that this agency even existed. And so I was navigating through Google search because we didn't have AI. There was no chat GPT going on at the time. I wasn't knowing anything about the library. So finding resources is a definitely good start. And I'm a resourceful chick, so that kind of made me mad that I didn't know the resources for business entrepreneurship. So yeah, that would be my number one thing is I would have started here first before branching out. But it's not a bad thing as well either, because it helped me connect all the dots that I was missing, and then to branch off, and then with the advisors helping me, and and then me learning as I go, it helped a lot too. So thank you all. And I encourage all of future entrepreneurs or entrepreneurs that are in our database now to please utilize our services. We have excellent advisors. We are very strategic in what we do, very educational and professional as well. So please don't hesitate to reach out or share our information as well.
Great. Thank you. So I want to thank everyone for being here today. This has been great. Again, happy National Small Business Week this week. And I know everybody's got their celebrations planned and they'll be out celebrating National Small Business Week. But it's a great opportunity, a great time to just take a step back and look at all the work that entrepreneurs and small business owners have done to build the economy, build this country, and really give thanks for everything everybody's doing. I want to thank all the team of the SBDC. I think you guys do a fabulous job, and I appreciate you being here today. And we look forward to seeing you in our next Small Business Breakthrough. Thank you.